Hello, loves. Welcome to the Live Your Freedom Now podcast. I'm Megan Colleen Johnson, and this podcast is dedicated to discussing dominant cultural narratives and beliefs, what I call dominant dogma, how this keeps you from thriving in life and business, and how to overcome that dogma by living your freedom now. While this path sounds clean and straightforward, the truth is life and being human is messy. So around here, we value the both and. We'll hold space for where you're at and honor the freedom you'd like to see and feel within yourself. Hit subscribe to stay updated, and for more information about me, my work, and to download my free Freedom Manifesto with all the details on what dominant dogma is, head to megscolleen.com. If you're curious to have the dominant dogma in your life talked about on the podcast, shoot me a text at 312-815-2774 and fill me in. Episode 24, The 5 Practices of Personal Freedom. Hello, creative humans. Today, I am writing to you from a local coffee shop where the temperature is absolutely perfect today in the low 80s Fahrenheit. I'm sitting outside in the shade, my coffee is to my right, and my bag is on the chair beside me. Folks are passing on the sidewalk, exploring during their vacation. I currently live in a resort lake town, pointing to little shops they want to stop at, wandering into the coffee shop for a mid-morning pick-me-up, and planning their day ahead. The trees are blowing in the breeze, and the town locals are driving past, trying to make their way through the busy little downtown streets. As I take a moment to pause and notice my surroundings, I encourage you to do the same. Notice the weather, the temperature, where the light hits, and where the shadows fall. Notice the textures of what is holding you and what is around you. Notice if there are any humans in the space around you. How are they taking up space around you? Not judging what you see and are experiencing, simply noticing it, allowing it. Honor it with your brief attention and presence. This environment scan is a practice of freedom that you can utilize at any time. A practice to attune to your space and come home to your power. Today, I am going to share a brief overview of how my 5 practices of freedom came to be and how they can help you live your freedom now. This episode is setting the stage for our next 5 episodes, where I will be sharing more in depth about each practice. So as you listen to this podcast, you can not only evaluate the dominant dogma I'm sharing about in the latest episode, but you can integrate this practice into your daily life, evaluating the dominant dogma in your world, then intentionally choosing how you desire to embody the freedom you crave. In past episodes, I've discussed how due to capitalism, colonialism, tribalism, and other hierarchical power over systems, you have been sold a singular vision of thriving and success. A vision that requires you to uphold specific dominant dogma in order to stay safe and belong. As a reminder, dominant dogma is a term I coined to encompass all the cultural narratives and beliefs which externally and subsequently internally as adaptive strategies tell you who you're supposed to be, how to do it, and what you need to buy to live that out. In contrast, live your freedom now is a path to hand back the dominant dogma which no longer serves you. In essence, it's a sort of stick it to the man concept, where instead of buying into the narratives which say you need something outside of you to be enough, to be free, to belong, and to achieve, you stop things in their tracks and state the opposite. I am free, whole, worthy, and I belong right here and now. So what does this look like practically? Dr. Andy Fisher, an eco-psychologist and scholar, teaches a model of modern disconnection, which I believe largely overlaps with my own 5 practices of freedom and how we can live our freedom now. Within his model, he shares a triangle where at the top is our psyche, the lower right-hand corner is nature, and the left-hand corner is society and history. Each of these points connects to form a whole, our wholeness. However, within his diagram, he shows small lines breaking our connection to each of these points. It is my belief that the harmful systems, patterns, and dominant dogma, both internal and external, are those breaking points. They are what keep us from functioning as a whole and integrated ecosystem, both within ourselves and as a collective. Dr. Fisher teaches that in order to reestablish the connection between our psyche, nature, society, and history, we must be willing to evaluate the breaking points, travel first through the stories of our society and history, then redevelop our relationship with nature and our own inner wildness. Similarly, my 5 practices of freedom guide us to first question the narratives we've been told and that we carry with us from our society and history. Then, we redevelop our connection and belief in self. And finally, we establish new integral beliefs and narratives which support self, others, and the planet. Specifically, the 5 practices of freedom we are going to explore over the next 5 episodes are playful curiosity, non-judgment and awareness, self-trust, integrity and congruence, and resilience. Each of these practices points us back to wholeness, back to freedom. Here's how some of my clients have experienced freedom after embarking on their own personal freedom journey. Please note, some names mentioned have been altered for anonymity. Michelle handed back dominant dogma, saying, "You're not enough." Michelle knew, somehow, she didn't have to navigate life, motherhood, or her creative love of writing from this place. Through powerful and aligned action, she handed back the dominant dogma, developed a new relationship with her inner critic, and redefined what it looked like for her to be a mama of 3. By living her freedom now, Michelle reclaimed her worth. Then, utilizing her newfound self-confidence, she successfully launched a writing class for local mothers in her area. Emily handed back dominant dogma, saying, "Put your head down. Keep pushing, keep working." She knew the lifestyle dominant dogma had created for her was unsustainable, and for the sake of her mental, physical, and emotional well-being, she reached out for help and began co-creating a new path for her future. Specifically, within a month of our time coaching together, COVID-19 resulted in job cuts at her work, but because of her bravery to pursue a more aligned life, she had already lined up freelance work and new business partnerships to support her thriving. By leaning in and choosing her freedom, she also reclaimed her future. Ultimately, living your freedom now can result in many life shifts, both personally and as a ripple effect to those around you. I believe, on the individual level, when you begin your freedom journey, you are choosing your own liberation. I believe, on the collective and global level, when you embark on your freedom journey, you are choosing to help liberate and heal the planet. When you no longer buy into the dominant dogma keeping you small, you play a part in collective healing. This is where I'm going to wrap up for today. Starting next week, we will begin our journey through the 5 practices of freedom so you can take this work deeper on your own. And as a reminder, if you want support on your freedom journey, I would love to invite you into a one-on-one coaching series. I typically coach folks for a period of 3 to 6 months where we meet bi-weekly via Zoom or phone call, and in each call, we may enter into a beautiful mix of honoring the past, tending to the present, and ultimately cultivate beautiful capacity within you so you can embrace your most free self and go after the goals you desire for yourself. My fall 2022 rates start at $1,800 for 3 months, and I have pricing plans available upon request. Whether you are struggling with anxiety, navigating a life change, or breaking free from toxic dominant dogma, I'm here to facilitate breakthroughs and coach you step by step so you can embody your freedom right here and now. You can learn more about my one-on-one coaching and book a free clarity call at megscolleen.com. That's megscolleen.com. All right, I'll see you next week. Freedom is yours. Thank you for joining me for another Live Your Freedom Now podcast episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'm always so grateful for a 5-star rating, and you can learn more about me, my work, and download my free Freedom Manifesto at megscolleen.com. Curious to have the dominant dogma in your life talked about on the podcast? Shoot me a text at 312-815-2774 and fill me in. I'll see you next time, and as always, freedom is yours.